Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today I'm reviewing My Farm Shop from Pegasus Spiel. And My Farm Shop is a game about basically turning resources into points. You're trying to build out your farm, you're going to have your farm over here, and across the course of the game you're going to be rolling dice to gather new cards to improve your farm, and then to go ahead and assign the other dice to your farms and to everyone's farms. Everyone will activate their farms simultaneously, as like many other games, Catan, Valeria, Machikaro, Space Base, etc. And you're trying to do so as efficiently as possible to build out your unique engine in the game, and to turn goods into points, into coins and money, which is basically points in this game, as efficiently as possible across the course of the game. The basic turn cycle is going to be you're going to roll the dice and you're going to go ahead and choose one die to assign to these numbers over here. Every spot on the farm is going to have a number on it from 1 to 6. You choose one die and you assign it to the numbers over there. If you have any of these in your farm, in your little barn over there, you can spend them to modify the dice value to adjust it. So I can spend one of these to turn this into a 3 because I really want that 3 over there. And I'll go ahead and gather this card from the 3 spot, and then I'll put it down onto one of these spots in my board. That's going to improve the effect of that spot, which is going to be relevant in a second, because I'm actually going to go ahead and put this down to the 3 over here. Actually, no, I'm going to activate it on the 7 over here because it's a very common number, and it's going to help me over there. From there, once that 3 is done, I'll then add up the other dice over here. In this case, we have another 3, and I'll go ahead and activate the 3 over here, gathering a single wool and putting it into my own tray. The other players are going to do the same. They're also going to activate the 3, and everyone again can go ahead and spend these sacks in order to modify the die value to adjust to whatever field you think is more beneficial to you. The starting fields you have on the board are just basically going to be giving you goods for the most part, past this 11 over here, which is going to be where you convert goods to points. You see, this is a good, this is a good, that's a good. That's the wild good symbol. That symbol over there is going to be any of the goods, and you get to pick one. And then from over here, again, we have more goods. We have 2 goods over here. We have a good and a sack, more specifically. And over here, we can go ahead and turn any 2 goods from our storage over here into 4 coins, which is ultimately the points in the game. And you have to be mindful of your storage as well, because you are limited to those 16 spaces, so you want to try to be building up those goods while converting them into other things. You're going to go ahead and add a card to the board over here. The next player will take their turn, again rolling their dice, gathering something to improve their farm, while leaving dice over for you to improve your farm. You're going to go round and around and around, and the cards are going to come out, better and better cards that are going to start giving you higher point engines. You can convert a single sunflower token into 3 coins over there. Sunflowers are going to be an option where you can put sunflowers on the spots on the board in order to get an extra thing when that number is rolled. We have things like over here, you can convert 2 burlap sacks into 5 coins. So instead of modifying the dice with those burlap sacks, you can save them in order to turn them into points. And as you go through this deck over here, you're going to have more and more options as far as more things happening for your farm, more ways to convert various goods into farms, and ultimately that's the core engine of the base game. There are modules, but that's the core engine of the base game. Roll dice, assign 1 to upgrade your farm, assign the rest to go ahead and activate spots on your farm. Few other things to note, such as we have the burlap sacks will modify points. We've talked about that. We have sunflowers over here, which, like I said already, when you put them on a spot, you get 1 more of whatever's in that spot. So now if I roll the 9, I'll get 2 eggs instead of 1. And if I add another sunflower there, I'll get 3 eggs instead of 1, which gives you a lot of agency as far as once you start building and upgrading spots and putting an upgraded card there, there's a lot of reasons to spend those burlap sacks to try to trigger your 9 rolling as often as possible, as opposed to other things. You'll have, what else do we have? We have, that's primarily as far as the base game. I know I'm missing something. We have burlap sacks. That's mostly it. Let's go with that's mostly it for the base game. So from there, let's go to the expansion, because there's a bunch of, not really expansions, modules. The base game comes with 3 modules inside of it, and we'll go through each of those modules, starting off with the farmer module. The farmer module is going to replace one of these cards over here, so you can get rid of a card and you're going to place the farmer down. Whenever you take the farmer, you're going to move it somewhere else, removing that card, and then again slotting out a new card. So the turns in the game remain the same, exact same number of turns, but the farmer is now an option to be chosen, and you're going to start the game by putting out some of these farmers over here, 4 of these farmer tiles, and you're going to assign specific tokens to those farmer tiles in order to basically go ahead and decide which farmer ability is correlating with which token. Whenever you take the farmer, you'll have the option to grab a bunch of these tokens, and then you can cash those tokens to do the various things on the farmer. You can swap cards in your field. If you have doubles, you can go ahead and take a good. You can go ahead and add an extra sunflower, even where there's not a sunflower spot. So these farmers just give you another option, another strategic aspect to be mindful of as you go through the game, trying to gather those farmer tiles in order to go ahead and trade those extra tokens in order to do the extra abilities here. Those will be stored over here in your storage as well, and they're worth points at the end of the game, which is another balance. Do you want the points? Do you want the ability? All those things to consider as you go through the game. game. We have the Quick Start module, which are a bunch of cards that will go into your field. So you're going to have these options over here. These are going to be extra cards to start off on your board, starting off in your fields, and giving you some extra way that you are slightly better compared to the starting values of the base game. Not a huge game changer in either direction, but it gives you an extra thing to start off with, just as it sounds like. It's the Quick Start module. And then lastly, we have the goals. By far my favorite module. I tend to like goals in games. It gives you something extra to strive for, and it gives you a reason to choose slightly different engines whenever you start one game over another. And the goals are going to be some goals that you put down, and every player is going to have these tiles over here where they can assign if they are the first or second person to go ahead and get those goals. So if I'm the first person to have 6 of a single type of good, I'll go ahead and get 6 points, and if I'm the second, I'll get 3 points. Again, coins being points. So the goals just give you some extra things to go for, some extra ways to earn some bonus points in the game, and those are the 3 modules of my farm shop, and that is basically the game, which means it's review time. Starting off with just ease of play, the game is incredibly simple to learn. The rule book is fairly easy to understand, quick to go through, handful of pages even with the modules. Likely, it's as well as that, it is a game that is quick to teach. This is, if you've ever played any game like this, Catan, Machikoro, Space Base, any of those engines in which you're rolling dice on your turn and everyone is benefiting from that, it has that feel to it. And if you haven't played those games, it's still easy to teach, but it's certainly easier to teach if you've played any game like that. The game length, game setup time, all that stuff, fairly easy. Sub 60 minutes every game I've played. It's a quick and easy and fast-paced game of building out your farm, improving your engine, and getting what you need before the end of the game. As far as player count, it's a 2 to 4 player game. I've played this at 2 and 3 players. Both player counts were fine. You get stuff on other people's turns, so you're always invested. I imagine 4 would be fine as well. The game slightly slows down in terms of more players because you have more time building up your farm, more time waiting while you build your farm, and a little less agency because you're not the one assigning the dice. So I imagine 3 players is better than 4, but I haven't played 4, so I can only comment on 2 and 3 players. As far as what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking. First of all, this game has rolling dice and gathering resources. That's always a fun loop in any game I've played. Any game that has me getting stuff on other people's turn always keeps me a little bit more invested and a little more interested in what's going on in the game. And the fact that I can modify the dice on your turn as well with these burlap sacks and then just having a little bit more flexibility. So like I showed you over here, I can build out a powerful spot. It has tableau building, which is a mechanic I like in general. Your farm is getting stronger as the game progresses, and what starts off as primarily a resource engine with a little bit of point scoring, as the game goes on, as it progresses along, you will have the opportunity to improve your resource engine while also adding opportunities to convert your resources into points, which is ultimately how you win the game. So it has tableau building, it has building a better farm, it has adding sunflowers to those spots, so you're both building a better farm no matter where the dice roll, as well as finding specific spots you want to cash in on, ideally every few numbers, so you can spend as few burlap sacks as possible as you shift towards your most optimum spots, and then really cash in at the right times. Gather 3 eggs at once, and then spend the next 3 turns turning in 1 egg for 3 points again and again and again, and just repeating and improving your engine. This is tableau building, it has goods, it has stuff, lots of fun things happen in the game in that sense. The modules. I like the modules because they give you ways to make the game incredibly accessible for those who don't want that extra rules overhead. If you're diving into this for the first time or with young kids or whatever it is, the base game is going to be fairly simple. The modules give you a little bit more aspects to it without making it too clunky. I would say the quick start module is ridiculously easy to add in, just gives you some extra variance to it. The goals as well. The only one that really adds rules overhead is the farmer. That's the one where, depending on who you're playing with, maybe save this one for another game. But the modules give you a way to customize the experience, taking it from, well, super light to light. That's as far as that. And then lastly, I would say there's a decent amount of mitigation on the dice. I kind of touched upon this already, but the burlap sacks, you're going to be earning burlap sacks throughout the course of the game, and then using those at the right time and cashing those in to get what you want is a lot of fun. It gives you a lot of mitigation or management over what is otherwise the sheer luck of the chaos of the dice. As far as what I don't like, it's not really so much that I don't like, but starting off, this game very much is on the lighter side. That's not necessarily a critique, it depends on who you are, but this is the what I don't like section, and this is very much on the lighter side as far as even within the genre of the game that it is. This is perhaps the lightest one I've seen, and even the modules to a certain extent, as much as I like the fact that there are modules, 2 of them I don't see myself ever playing without. The quick start and the goals are so simple to include that even for the youngest, most accessible player, if I can teach you the rest of the game, I can throw those in. So that's, again, it's nice that they have the option. For me, it's a fairly light game, and even the modules are light. The farmer module is a little bit more rules heavy, so that's fine, but this game does definitely fall on the lighter side, even within the genre that it's performing. not a bad thing, but certainly something that is more of a flag for me, as far as, not flag is the wrong term, more of a making this less the right choice for me, comparatively speaking. Past that, the basic game comes down to get goods, turn them into points, which, to be fair to any game out there, you can usually devolve any game experience to a simple sentence or two, making it sound stupid, but this game is roll dice, get goods, turn them into points, and there's not a lot of variance or other aspects within that engine to really change things up. The farmer module is going to be the one thing that really changes that engine just a little bit. Past that, it's roll dice, turn things, get into points, and again, other games have this. If you compare this to games like Machi Koro, to Valeria Card Kingdoms, to Space Base, you're going to have that same engine, but they often give you a little bit more nuance within that engine, and I don't think that My Farm Shop has that little extra nuance. The game is good at what it's doing, it's accessible, it's fun, it is good, but it's on the lighter side within that genre, and not a lot of nuance in terms of other things. I would say things like the sunflowers are going to be the biggest degree of nuance to it, giving you a little more customization over the pathway you choose to upgrade your tableau, but past that, it's fairly procedural. As far as things I can see others not liking, the luck of the dice and the luck of the cards are a big part of that. You're going to be rolling dice, and yes, you have mitigation, absolutely you do, but yeah, you could have people who roll the perfect die every single time and get their engine up and running perfectly. Meanwhile, you're spending burlap sacks every single turn just to get the dice to slightly cooperate with you. And that's true of the cards as well. Every turn you're going to have cards coming out, adding to the board, and the cards that pop out the turn before yours that give you a good card that slots into your engine, it's going to make it slightly, a slight amount of luck as far as how your engine builds out across the course of the game. It's not significant. I think it works well for the pace of the game, but that's why it's in what I can see others not liking and not myself. As far as final thoughts on My Farm Shop, you've probably gotten the impression as I go, but this is not a game that I don't like. Rather, it's a game that is fun, it's enjoyable, but it also doesn't particularly impress me at the same time. It gives me that fun tableau, engine building aspect that I get out of this genre in general. Get goods on other people's turns, enjoy that process, cycle things around, and it does so in a very accessible, easy to get into, and easy to teach package. At the same time, for me, it's arguably a letdown just in terms of compared to games within that genre. Other games give me a little bit more decision space, a little bit more interesting things going on. Plus, there's the fact that I'm not particularly enamored with the theme of a farm to begin with, so that's another, not necessarily a strike, but a thematic aspect where it just doesn't pull me in as much. I think My Farm Shop is fine. I think if you like this style of game, this is another solid entry, although I'd probably recommend some others within this genre first. As far as it being accessible to younger kids or gateway gamers, that's where it probably has the biggest plus, because I think it is the simplest of that series, lining up probably with Machi Koro as the most gateway friendly within the genre, being a step below others like Catan, Space Base, Valeria, Bad Company, being under other games like that. But it's a good game that didn't particularly impress, but was enjoyable at the same time. I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5. I liked it, I didn't love it. As far as other game recommendations, specifically everything I've talked about this entire time. We have Machi Koro, we have Valeria, we have Space Base, we have all these other games. This is probably most similar to Machi Koro in terms of its weight class, so if you like Machi Koro, this is probably a good fit for you. If you thought Machi Koro was a little bit underneath where you want the game to be, then probably step it up to Valeria or Space Base or another game like that. And if you're just looking for a farming game, where I actually did like the theme and liked the game a lot more, Three Sisters is a delightful roll and write with a farming theme that has nothing to do with this game mechanically, but past that, it's about farms and stuff like that. There's dice in it. There are dice in it. And that is basically it. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you found it helpful. Until next time, I am Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and I hope you have a good one.